Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Naked Truth Chazinator podcast, where I can speak more freely than I do on TikTok. As I promised last week, in this week's episode, I'll be addressing the elephant in the room. And by the elephant, I mean a very large creator that I used to be friends with who virtually threw me under the bus. I feel like it'll be a lot easier for me to just address her personally, so I'm going to speak as though I'm talking to her because I haven't spoken to her since she publicly dumped me without warning on TikTok. I feel like this will help clear things up for everybody. If I have a little lisp today, it's because I just had some dental work done and I'm still slightly numb, but I've got to get this done. Dear large creator, with over 13 million followers on TikTok, I thought you were my friend. I really did. You had me fooled, right up to the point where you decided to publicly name and shame me. You knew what that would do. You knew what would happen. You can tell your followers not to hate on me all you want, but you know they're going to, simply because you don't like me anymore. Well, guess what? I don't like you either. And here's why. Out of sheer respect for the friendship that I thought we once had, I'm not going to mention your name in this video. I'm not even going to tell anybody who you are. I think most people will be able to figure it out. That's a courtesy that you didn't extend to me, but that's okay. I'm taking a little bit of a higher ground. Let me just say that the day that you ended our friendship, you really could have given me a warning. You could have texted me or called me and said, "Look, Chaz, I'm going to make a video. I'm going to tell everybody that I'm not going to be your friend anymore." But that would have ruined the surprise and the punch in the gut and the pain that came afterwards. Instead, I had to find out with the rest of the world. Talk about your second grade childish bullshit playground move. My husband was handing me some dinner that he had just cooked for me when I turned on your video, and I was literally in shock. I almost puked. I had to double over and hold my stomach because it was just such a punch in the gut. The next time you end a friendship with somebody, why don't you have the common decency to let them know you're planning on doing it publicly before you do? If you had just texted me and said, "Chaz, look, I don't want to be your friend anymore," I would have said, "That's fine. That's okay. You don't have to be. Nobody's obligated to be my friend." But instead, you acted like I was your enemy. You went onto the internet and you told people that you didn't want to be my friend, and you didn't even specify why, leaving a big stench of suspicion in the air. It's not because you thought I was a racist. If you were kicking out the racists and homophobes in your life, then I think your father in law and your sister would be the first to get publicly thrown under the bus. But they weren't. It was me. We both know that I'm not a racist. You were terrified of the abolish adoption cult. As some of these messages that you sent me will show, you are just as disgusted by these people as I am, but you won't say it publicly. That's the difference between you and me. I won't let a communist app, an agent, or an assistant dictate what I'm going to say online. I say what I think, and I say what I believe. And here's what I believe. The abolish adoption people scared you into doing this to me. You knew it would hurt me, and you didn't care, as long as they weren't attacking you. In fact, I never even mentioned your name in any response to any of those people. It was your comments on my video that made them come after you. Remember that. Your words, not mine. And here's an example of those words. You even sent me a screenshot of a message from a friend of yours who told you that these people are incredibly dangerous, that these people would blackmail me and try to harm me, and that they'd do the same to you. You even told me how scared of them you were. So please, let's not pretend that you ended our friendship because of anything that I did wrong. In your video, you said that this was just my latest drama. Well, I've only had three dramas since I've been on TikTok. One is the fact that TikTok is a communist app that limits what I can say. Two are the abolish adoption assholes who keep attacking me, who you agreed are heartless and cruel. My third drama is with a handful of extremist trans people who don't like the fact that I won't call a woman cisgender if she doesn't want me to call her that. By the way, I've never ever heard you say the word cisgender. Maybe you can say that once in a while, because sometimes it's not what you do say, it's what you don't say that pisses off the oversensitive people. I stand by all three of those statements. TikTok is a Chinese communist app. Anybody who wants to abolish all adoption in the world is an idiot. And I'm not going to call anybody cisgender if they don't want to have that label. And I'm not afraid to say any of that. And I never will be. And while I was accused of hiding behind you by the abolish adoption people, that was never the case. As I said, I never mentioned your name in any response to any of these assholes. But after they started attacking you for the comments you left on my videos, I got a message from your assistant. And here's that message right now, telling me that you were being attacked by them and asking me if I would step up and say something about it on my channel. And that's when I mentioned your name. I never connected you to any of this. Again, I remind you of your own comments on my video that pissed these people off. Now, you and I were friends as far as I was concerned. I met you last June at the Pride Parade in Alabama. It shocked me when I got a message from the Pride organizers asking if I would go attend their event. And I knew that you had to be behind it because, of course, you were going to be there accepting another award and you have the right to choose whoever you want to be hanging around with under that TikTok tent. And I felt honored and flattered that you wanted me to be one of those people, even though you completely denied that you had requested my presence. How the hell else would Alabama Pride have any idea that I even exist if you didn't tell them? Meeting you was a pleasure, and that's when we exchanged phone numbers. I think I earned your trust over a year ago when I defended you against a Christian woman when you said that gay people can be Christians, and she said, no, they can't. And I said, they absolutely can. And that video went viral, and you must have loved it because I was definitely defending you hard. But after I gave you my number, it seemed like every time you were texting me, you were bringing me your drama, and you have had more than enough drama on TikTok. For example, this message you sent me about a dentist who you found out was a perv. Well, guess what? You should have known that. He had been posting pervy videos for over a year. You were his friend, weren't you? I believed you when you said you had no idea what a creepy guy he was. And I actually made a video defending you against him, telling him to keep your name out of his mouth. I was just your attack dog. Nothing more, nothing less. When your archenemy Charles resurfaced online, who did you text? Me. Why? Because you knew I would be an attack dog. You knew I'd make a video all about it and that I would blast them. And that's exactly what I did. After you unfollowed me, I blocked you. But I heard that you were deleting all of the videos that you made with me off of your channel. And that's your prerogative. You go right ahead. Personally, I don't want to erase the past. It is there for posterity. The day we met is still online. People can see you hugging me. People can see you treating me like a friend. Then they can go back and watch your video where you threw me under the bus. I don't want to turn anybody against you, and I don't have the power to bring harm to your large platform. But you clearly had the power to bring harm to mine. And as a result, I've lost almost 9,000 followers because of your video. I don't know exactly how many of those were your followers, but that certainly didn't help. You do realize this is as much my job as it is yours, right? It took me a minute to figure out that I didn't want anybody following me just because you had told them to do so. I want people to follow me because they actually like my content. And I've never ever said anything negative about you to try to get views. But you let these people pressure you into not being my friend anymore. These comments that they made were mean and cruel and lies. And anybody who believes any of the lies that are being spread about me on the internet is not worth keeping as a friend. But I want you to know that I forgive you, even though you're not asking for forgiveness. But you certainly should be forgiven for what you did. At the same time, I'll never ever be able to trust you again. And that's why I'm glad that I saved each and every single voice memo that you ever sent me, including the ones talking about your enemies and what you really think of them. I'm also glad that I saved every single text message that you've ever sent me, because quite frankly, they show a different side of you than most people ever get to see. And I'm glad I was able to see it, because it makes things a lot clearer now. And please understand that I don't hate you. I never have. I just don't like you anymore, because you hurt me. You hurt me really bad. And nobody gets a chance to do that twice. In the whole time that we knew each other, you never mentioned the names of any of your enemies on your channel. You flat out told me that it's something you would never do. And yet you would go and mention mine. Do you see how that might be problematic? I didn't make this podcast to hurt you. I made this podcast for clarification for the people who care, for the people who really want to know what happened between us. And one day, when my grandson Genesis grows up and gets on the internet and he watches a video by some abolish adoption idiot claiming victory because they came between me and my good friend who was a big creator, I want him to know the truth, because I'm not always going to be here to tell it. But this video will stay here as a permanent record of the truth. We both suffered a lot of tragedy in our lives, and I certainly am not trying to make it any worse for you, even though you made things a little bit harder on me. Just know that I wish you well. I hope you have a wonderful life, and I hope I never ever see you again. Goodbye. Thanks for watching this week's edition of The Naked Truth. Tune in next week when I talk about the Cheer Choice Awards. Is it an award show, or is it just a charity? I'll dig into that real good. You won't want to miss it.